This is Paul Newman with the Cashflow Cafe podcast. Today we have Mr. Beau Johnson on the show. I'm excited to have you on. Beau, in 1 minute or less, tell us all about yourself.
Beau Johnson, from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Came up, got a family of four, my dad, my mom, my brother. Dad, former MLB player. Mom, woman of many talents. My brother, he plays for the Steelers right now. But yeah, I just grew up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Always had a love for sports and close to my family. And that's pretty much what my life revolves around. You know, I came here, Georgia Southern, spent 5 years here, and still pursuing my football career. So I'll kind of say that's me right now.
That's you in a nutshell. I like it. So when you first got recruited to Georgia Southern, what did that look like? Did you jump straight from high school to Georgia Southern, or did you go play somewhere else and then come to Georgia Southern?
It was straight here. This was my first school. The recruitment process was a little odd. Definitely, I watched my brother's recruitment process, and that's kind of what got me really going into football, really. But yeah, it was kind of odd. I would say just a lot different from what he had. He had like his top three was like Georgia, LSU, and Tennessee and stuff like that.
He had the big boy schools.
He had the big boy schools, and you know what I'm saying, like, which is a blessing for him. But that's kind of not where I was at, honestly. I definitely did have some good offers, but I kind of waited late in my process to a point where a lot of the options did go away. But Georgia Southern was that place that did stay consistent with me regardless of if I was straying away from them or not. So once I came on a visit here, everybody felt like family, and I knew this was the right place to be at. So
that's awesome, man. I know you've had an amazing career here. So let's touch base on your athletic family. It's arguable that you've got one of the most athletic families that I've even heard of. Your dad was a player for the Marlins, catcher, Charles Johnson,
yes,
and he was a World Series champ as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Touch base on a little bit of his career, playing days, and like what it meant to grow up in a family like that.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, my dad, like I said, he played in the MLB, played for 12 years.
Also played for, he also was Miami Hurricanes, right?
Sure was,
That's right.
Yep.
See, the U, I like it.
Absolutely, that's where my mom and dad met. So
okay, so your mom and dad both went to the University of Miami.
Yes, sir.
Super cool.
Yeah, so yeah, he played for 12 years, you know what I'm saying? Kind of moved around a little bit. Trying to think of all the teams. Marlins, Dodgers, White Sox, Rockies, Tampa Bay, and Baltimore Orioles.
Wow. So did your family move with each team that your dad played for?
Yeah, we moved around a little bit. Obviously, I went, like, when I was born, I was kind of on like the second half of his career, I would say. But yeah, we did move around, but at the same time though, we mostly did like we would move around in the off season more so, but like once it came to like my school time, whatever, we would always go back to Florida, whatever. So it wasn't big.
Home base was always Florida.
Right. So I would say that was that. But yeah, it's cool, man, having a dad like that. Obviously, like when I was smaller, I didn't really like understand or like really see what was going on. But as I got older, we'll go back to Marlins Park and stuff like that, and it's like everybody's like looking at my dad like a superhero. But to me, it's just dad.
That's right.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see. So.
That's awesome. And you told me something really cool about your mom as well. Can you touch base on her and some of the cool stuff that she's done as well? Yeah,
my mom, she graduated Miami School of Music, so really big into music. She would have headphones on her stomach when we were in her belly. So
you're a music lover as well.
Absolutely,
yes.
Absolutely. But she actually was pretty good in her profession as well, to a point where she used to sing the national anthems at my dad's games and stuff like that.
That's a mind-blowing thing. That's just so cool. It shows the talent of your family as well. And then and your brother now, he plays for the Steelers. Where did he end up going to play college football at?
So he started out at Tennessee for his first 4 years, University of Tennessee, and then he went to UCF for his last year. And after that, he ended up getting signed to the Denver Broncos. He played like 3 years there, and then this last year he played with the Steelers.
So that's awesome to have such a good inspiration and a tight-knit family that's just super athletic, super cool. Beau, what's your thoughts on money? What does the 22, 23-year-old think and visualize about money?
I heard somebody say, and I really coincided with it, that money can be a great slave, but it's not a great master. And like, I really firmly believe that, because it's like you could spend your whole life working for money, and run yourself into a hole. But if you do make your money and do the right things with it and make your money work for you, now your money's a slave, and that's where you can kind of have leverage and have freedom and live the life you truly want to live.
Yeah, that's a really cool answer, and it's we're all out here chasing. You gotta make money to do the things you want to do, and to me, it's always just been, if I want to do something, I want to do it, not really worry about can I afford it or not. But that comes with hard work, and it's money to me is never saying, oh, I got the biggest bank account. It's like, look, I just want to be able to do the fun things that I want to do with my family.
Right.
So that's just pretty cool. What does success look like to you?
That's a good question.
That's a big question, right?
Yeah. Honestly, I know everybody kind of identifies with success differently, but personally, I identify that with, honestly, just like peace and happiness. Like whatever makes you happy, whatever makes you at peace, whatever makes you content with life, like that's success to me. Whether that's having a good big family, whether that's reaching goals in your career, whatever that is to you, but. To me, I would say just happiness and having a big family around me. People that love me.
I love that answer. I don't think you could come up with a better answer. I know Bob Marley's, one of his little sayings is like, "What does money make me happy?" That's not,
right.
That's not what happiness and success is to
exactly.
me. It's your love for your family, and it's whatever makes you tick, right? Like it
Absolutely.
doesn't, whatever you're good with. If you wake up every day and like the person you see in the mirror.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you're comfortable with yourself and what you've got going on, I feel like you're good. Because I know a lot of people, they kind of chase, they chase those goals that they have and, like quote unquote success, but they might have all of that and are completely miserable with themselves. Like I know plenty of rich people that are miserable with themselves, and honestly, like, what is that worth if you're miserable?
It's a great answer, and I just it's for me, it's all about passion. Like, and not everybody gets to be super passionate about what they do, but I've definitely found that people that they love what they do, or they wake up and they don't really see it as going to work, is like that's the difference maker, because
right.
You're not dreading getting up for work. Like I've been so lucky since I was a 21-year-old kid. I got into real estate, and never one day have I felt like, oh man, I got to go to work. It's always like, all right, let's do this.
Right.
Let's go chase.
Right.
So it's that's what it is for me. It's the passion of loving what I do.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, like that's probably what drives your success, though. Like the fact that you can get up every day and, like it's nothing to you. It feels good. It feels regular. Like you can go out and, like have the success you do. So I guess that is a big key component into that.
It is. And it's just like, you guys, when you're in your 20s, like you don't know what your career is going to be, but it's like I'd encourage, the average person listening to this, or, any young people I talk to, like go chase something that you think, all right, I may like this. I mean, go learn from the best. What I would tell people to do is go learn from the best, right? Whatever you think you want to do, whether it's a plumber, electrician, athlete, go watch the very best. And if you can shadow, work under them, and then you go do it yourself. Go
Absolutely.
Brand yourself, go market yourself. Eventually, you just be your own dog.
Absolutely. I'll even take it a step further. There's like, I've come across a person that one time they told me, like, even if you're not interested in maybe something that somebody's doing, or like a profession that they have or anything like that, like still take the time of day to like listen to what they have to say or what they're about, what they're doing, because you never know, like, one, what might strike interest to you, or two, they might say something to you that might change your life and brain chemistry forever. So, and God works that way, you know what I'm saying?
You nailed it. So I mean, my crazy story is I was actually flying to New Mexico, and I met a guy on a plane. Mm-hmm. Really shouldn't even been going to New Mexico, but I met a guy on a plane, and he said, and this changed my life, literally trying to network and communicate. I sell real estate on ocean, lakes, and mountains. And I was like, that sounds like my dream job. Like I knew I wanted to get in sales, and I was like, wait, you're telling me I can go and sell on oceans and sell on. So their company was a really unique thing. It didn't end up playing out like that, but I got my license, and then God had me right here in Statesboro for the last 20-something years selling
That's
real
awesome.
estate. So perfect example of go talk to people. Don't have your head buried down. Shake somebody's hand. Like, why don't you elaborate on like how big networking is to you, and like how you've evolved from an 18-year-old college kid playing football to now, what your thoughts are?
It's definitely changed a lot. And it's kind of a big thing growing up now. Like, I kind of want to go back. Like, I'm about to go to the stadium later. Like, I do want to talk to the guys about, like, some of that type of stuff. But, you know what I'm saying? When you're 18, 19, you're in the back.
Can't tell me nothing.
Right. Like, can't tell you nothing. Like, your mind's probably else. Like, you're focused on other things. You're in the back of the room. Like, when, you know what I'm saying, guys like you might come to talk, and it's really important information. But, like I said, when you're young, you kind of don't really understand the magnitude of, like, what this information can do for you in life. So, you know, I'll be back there about falling asleep and, like, the typical 18, 19-year-old thing. But as you do get older and grow in your career, and just maturing as an adult, you kind of realize that all of this stuff is really $1 million worth of games. So, like, when you came to talk, I want to say my junior year, or maybe my redshirt junior year, like, I'm locked in, I'm dialed in. I'm like, okay, like, I know this is information that, like, can help me throughout the whole of life.
No doubt.
And I just wish that, like, as a younger person, you could kind of get a grasp of that earlier. That way you're already ahead of the curve, and you're already starting to organize things and put things into play to where, like, you do start to have success earlier.
You know, one of the things, I have such a heart to want to motivate people, and really I understood money at an early age, and it's like I think one of the reasons I speak is because I want somebody that's 18, 19, 20 to try to understand this financial game, because you got to try to play it the right way, right? There's little, you know, how many times are the college professors teaching you about credit? Nobody.
Never.
I mean, nobody does. You don't even, a lot of people, if you polled them when they're 18 or 19, be like, hey, do you even know how to build credit? Everybody be like, no, I don't have a clue.
Right.
So these are the important talks about money, because if you want to get ahead, it doesn't matter if you're trying to finance a car, a house. I mean, maybe it's a furniture set for your, you know, how. I mean, all of that's credit, right? Mm-hmm. If you're trying to get ahead, you have to have decent credit, or you're going to be paying super high interest rates.
Absolutely.
But you're like, interest rates when you're a 19-year-old kid, I don't care about interest rates. What does that even mean?
Right.
Right? Like, it's like that. It's just not taught. So I've got a heart that wants to try to educate people, and then once you learn the game, you got to kind of teach the game to the younger generation, right?
Absolutely.
So that's a big deal for me, and I wish that you could just have more talks with these college students, and then as you're a leader, like you said, you want to go back even today or this weekend and talk to the guys like, hey, you guys got to start thinking about this. Mm-hmm. There's like a fire to do that.
Right, absolutely. And honestly, like, kudos to you, because, like, that's, like, guys like you are a pillar in the community to a point where, like personally, I could go back, I come back, I reach out to you or whatever. But
Did it this weekend.
Absolutely. But I know, like, it's all coming with, one, a good heart, but also a good game as well that can definitely help you throughout your career. So I do appreciate you for that.
Well, and you run up on people that want to truly help you in life, right? So it's like, I love when somebody like you hits me or texts me and would welcome any kind of financial questions, or, hey, should I do this or this? And I don't always have the right answers, but, like, I love, you know, just bouncing to, you know, you may want to start a business one day. Like, I'd love it if you call me 3 years from now and say, Paul, what do you think about this idea, man? That like makes me juiced up, right? Like, it's like I want to walk you through your thoughts and talk about that.
Right, absolutely. Hopefully in 3 or 4 years, I am coming back to you saying that. That's the plan. But that kind of brings it back to the whole networking thing that you did talk about. You know, it's definitely important. Honestly, like, without networking, is like, you don't. It's about who you know. It's not, you know what I'm saying, like, what you know and all that type of stuff. So it's definitely important to have people in your corner, even if it's not, like, just genuine people around you that care about, like, your success and your growth and everything like that. Like, that works wonders way past all other types of stuff. So
networking is such an underrated thing. It's just, your life is headed, you know, in the five people you hang out with the most, that's where your life is headed. And it kind of makes sense. And you want to surround yourself with people that are, you know, doing good. I mean, that's the name of the game. You want to be inspired by people. You want to ask questions. I think one of the things I get discouraged with some of the, not just football players or athletes or just the average 18, 19, 20-year-old. I mean, you guys were raised hard on the cell phones and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's like, to me, a lot of these young cats are just burying their head in the phones. You got to still communicate. You got to lift your head up.
Absolutely.
And talk to people, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the networking. I mean, you've got to continue to strive to meet and shake hands and just ask people, like you said, it don't even matter if it's in the career you want to go in. Oh, well, what do you do? Well, I'm a, this. And then he's like, all right, well, tell me about that. And it may change your mindset. Just like you said, that one talk may go, I never would have thought about that business. That business sounds super cool.
Right, absolutely. So all that stuff is major, man. All of it's major.
So, Beau, what do you think about your pro days coming up? You're excited. You had a great career. Well, why don't you touch on a little bit of highlights of some of your favorite moments of being a Georgia Southern Eagle?
Cool. I'll say every time we play App State, that's a highlight.
That's the hype game.
Every time, App State, Georgia State.
Now, what was your record when you were here? Can you remember? Is it 500? Ooh. I know you got definitely 2 or 3 wins in
For
there.
sure. I know. On the back half of my career, we were definitely starting to win. So we got the upper hand on that. I don't know the exact percentage, but I think
one of my favorite games it was a night game here, and we had a walk-off win against them. I can't remember if they missed a kick or what the deal was.
It was like double overtime or something like that.
Yeah, that was a super hype.
Oh yeah, Ezra Archie, he scored the last touchdown.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That. Yeah, that was fun. But I'll say highlights of my career. I'll say probably a bowl game. The Camellia Bowl, what was that, like 2022, I want to say. But that was my first game breaking 100 yards. So I had like 5 catches for like 118 yards. So
nice.
That was cool. And honestly, I wasn't even really supposed to be, like I wasn't too much in the lineup at that day, but like one guy ended up going down and I ended up just popping in there. I was like, okay, whatever. But it was kind of a testament to how you always have to be prepared regardless of where you're at. You know what I'm saying? Like in the lineup maybe, or just in life, honestly, like you never know when your opportunity is going to present itself. So you do have to be ready, because if you're not, then the opportunity comes and you miss it, and now what, so what? So. And
that's the mindset of working hard. Like, there's always the next man up, and there's always somebody gunning for your position. So it's like you have to keep, this, when you get to the level you got to with the college sports and that stuff, it's like, man, it is always such a dogfight. And it's like you got to keep your mind right to say, all right, my number just got called. I wasn't even thinking I was going to be in the game, and boom, I just got a 100-yard receiving game.
Right. Then I'll give kudos to my dad as well. Like, obviously, like he's done it at a high level for a long time. Just like I could trust him with any type of information, like especially relying, like coming off of sports, but. Like he always says, like be prepared, like don't ever be caught off guard, like regardless of, what position they have you in, because like I said, you never know when things will change. But on top of that, though, like I feel like, when you're in situations like that, which a lot of young guys don't understand, like when you're in situations like that, like that's where your character is really built. That's where like, like the grind is built and all that type of stuff. Even when you aren't getting the results, like that's when you have to even put your head down even more, because like I said, that builds character like far, far above like your career at that moment, football. But like these are like gems you need for life in general as a man, because after football, like, stuff's not going to change. It's just the situation. Like, you're still going to go through your hard times and everything like that. But you got to be ready. You got to be built, have your skin tough. So I feel like situations like that do help you.
So you've grown, and now this, you're at the end of your career. You got here, and now it's time for your pro day. Why don't you touch base on what your hopes and dreams are and what the future looks like?
Honestly, it's funny. I was just talking to my mom and dad yesterday about it, but all pro day is to me is just another step closer to what God has in store for me, regardless of how it goes, the numbers I produce, everything like that. Like, I've trained, put in the work. So regardless, the numbers aren't really up to me. Like, to me, like the numbers that's in God's will, honestly. Yep. Like, so I could put in the work, do everything I need to do, and God forbid, but let's say stuff doesn't go how I wanted to, like that was just in God's will. But I could sit there and not put in the work and everything go right. That's just in God's will. So like I say, like me just doing my part, training and everything like that, like I'm comfortable to the point where whatever happens, like I'm content knowing that's coming from God.
You left it all on the field,
right?
Like this. I mean, you gave it your all. And so, what exactly are you doing in a pro day? What workouts? What things?
So we'll definitely do like a 40. We'll do 5, 10, 5 shuttle, L drill. They'll do 225 bench test, definitely vert, broad jump. And then we'll do like position work, so like run some routes and stuff like that. But that should really be like what pro day consists of.
How many on a pro day, like how many scouts or like what does that look like? Is it 10 different teams come? Like how many different teams actually come to the pro day?
I'm actually not sure. I think it kind of just varies, like school wise, like the players that are there and all that type of stuff. But I'm not sure like who's there. Okay. Honestly, it doesn't even matter.
But
like,
you're ready to ball out regardless.
Exactly.
What is your 40? I'm just curious. Or what do you hope you run on the pro day?
Honestly, if I get anything 4.6 or lower, I'm cool.
Okay.
4.6
and
or
when
lower,
you're clocking yourself, have you been right there, really close to that? Is it sometimes 4.7?
It's aligning. My pre-test was in the 4.7, so I know for a fact it's got to be below.
So
that.
You're gonna hit at least 4.7, and you're hoping for a 4.6.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then all those numbers, man, they matter, right?
Yeah, they do.
So, in the future, all right, the pro day doesn't go like you want. Mm-hmm. Where does Beau Johnson see himself in 4 or 5 years and maybe even a decade? I'm so big on visualizing, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's another thing I'd love for people when they're playing sports or even in college. Like, where are you visualizing yourself in the future?
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I'll answer your question, but like what you just said at the end, it kind of like made me think of something. I saw this one thing on Instagram, honestly, and it was like talking about how before you go to bed and right when you get up, like those are almost like the most important times like for your brain mentally, and like it'll do you good, like which I would recommend to a whole lot of other athletes and honestly just people in general, like whatever you have going on in life, but just to, like you said, sit there and visualize like what you want to attain, like how you want to live and everything like that, but as if you've already had it. And just sit there,
truly
like,
seeing yourself in it.
Right, like okay, I'm 30. I got a beautiful family, wife and kids. My business is successful, like X, Y, and Z. So, but to answer your question, honestly, like pro day going good or bad, like I got the same mindset. Like I just feel like, honestly, with me getting to the next level, like I would more so use that as a tool to really live out the rest of my dreams. Like, yeah, that's a part of my dream as well, but there are bigger and better things. But like I said, to answer your question, I definitely do want to open up a couple restaurants one day.
And that goes back to your passion.
Right.
We actually had Beau cook. My wife and I had an anniversary, and I had called Beau up, and I said, "Man, I've been hearing you want to do the chef thing and all that. So, what did you cook? It was great."
It was a ribeye, some Chilean sea bass, and I think lobster mac and cheese, asparagus.
Yeah, it was all fire, by
salad,
the way.
I think, yeah.
Super fire. So
Thank
this man may have a career in the restaurant business, which is hard. I mean, golly, restaurants fail so often,
right?
And but if you could kind of get in it and understand the game, and really a lot of the big restaurant players will tell you to own the real estate, right? So if you ever get in that career or profession, yes, I mean you could go work for other people, but eventually if you go to start your own restaurant, like the really successful people have also owned the real estate. That's a really big piece to the restaurant game.
Right.
You hear the story on McDonald's is like doesn't even call themselves. It's kind of joking, but they're not restaurant. They're real estate holders. So all that real estate that they've bought on all these important corners of different towns, like how much is that real estate worth now?
Right.
So that's the big play for them.
Right, and like that goes to show like it's just important as far as like your networking and who you're connecting with and everything like that. Cause like knowledge like that, like I might not typically know myself. I might just know that I want to have restaurants, whatever.
Right.
But whatever, talking to you, whatever, I might not have ever had interest in real estate, which I never really did. But like talking with you, just gaining knowledge, because you can never soak up enough knowledge. Like now that's pieces of knowledge that like I know that can carry me throughout life that will attribute to success. So.
And I think just it goes back to what are you getting exposed to? I mean, you just said it, you got exposed to maybe a different idea, but that's making sure you're surrounding yourself with people that are doing well. And it's kind of wild. I've always just been – I switched from one high school to another when I was when I was in high school, and it was like both high schools were fine. But when I went to this other high school, it was a little bit nicer, bigger houses. The kids was like, man, what are these parents doing? Like that, this high school, two public schools, but one public school was like, oh God, these houses are worth $1 million, $2 million. I'm like, what are these guys doing?
Right.
So I think a big thing in life is exposure. What are you getting exposed to? What are you feeding yourself? Books are you reading? Who are you hanging with? Like and a lot of people don't have a great mother and father to show them the roads, right?
Right.
So touch base on what hope you have sometimes when you don't have a really strong mother and father influence, and that's a hard thing.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like, unfortunately, that wasn't the case for me. Like I said, I came up with a really good mom and dad.
Huge blessing. I think that's honestly one of the biggest blessings a person can have.
Absolutely, for sure. And honestly, it inspires me to be that one day for my kids as well. But like coming to college and stuff like that, you just meet people from different walks of life, and you really do have, you gain an understanding as far as like, dang, like I'm a lot more blessed than I thought I was. But at the same time, like you get the exposure of seeing like some of the situations that people are in, and like honestly sometimes like, okay, like I know I don't want to be in that position, but like not to shed hate or anything or shade to like people who grew up in a situation, but it is important, like even if you are in that situation, to you get to college, and it's important to at least want better, I should say. Because if you want better, desire better, then like it's there. Like you can go talk to people.
Yes.
You can go gain knowledge. Like all of that's there. Like you don't have to be in that situation. Like once you grow up, like you don't have to have that reoccurring cycle. So, like I said, it all comes back to that.
And all it takes is one. And I think that's why I do some of the stuff I like to do, because maybe I did touch one person that was like, man, I never thought about that. And sometimes, how it is, you hear a motivational speaker and you get all fired up and you're like, man, I'm going to go take on the world, and then you forget everything he said. But maybe it is the one idea that goes, you know what, my mom and dad never taught me that. I never had a dad tell me that if you did this, this, and this. So much of life will always come back to exposure, and I think that's why you need to do some of these podcasts and speaking and that kind of stuff to really fire up and motivate people.
Absolutely. I agree. Totally agree.
Beau, is there anything else you want to touch base on, man? I had a pleasure just kind of wrapping up with you and touching base. Is there anything else you want to hit on?
Honestly, nothing other than thank you. Just appreciate you for being a pillar in the community, gaining knowledge from you, and just being a guy that, like not too far to reach, a lot of guys, have success and everything like that, and they're kind of hard to reach, but you do have a lot of humility, and you do pay a lot of knowledge to the guys around here. So I do appreciate you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I love it. I just, you want to still be relatable and reachable. These grays are starting to seep in a little bit. So it's like, am I that gray-haired guy in the room that's like, man, I was that kid too when I was 19 and 20. I'm like, man, I don't want to listen to this speaker. What's he talking about? So it is, I don't know. It's humbling to just keep going and keep trying. I had a really cool moment. I got to talk to the New England Patriots about real estate investing. That was like just a crazy aha moment. Awesome. Raekwon McMillan invited me to come up, and it was just so humbling to be in a spot where I'm like, man, I'm really talking to some guys that can really do and benefit. Right. And they still need it too. Just because they went to college and played ball doesn't mean they've got the financial knowledge. And a lot of those guys they all get told to buy stocks, right? They're all like, all right, you need to buy this. I mean, it's all usually just put your money in the stock market. But I think there's a need for to understand the game of real estate and leverage and all that it entails.
Absolutely, because guys, like I hear it from my brothers every day. Like my brothers, they're in the locker room, and like guys come in buying like the most frivolous things, like stuff that has like nothing to do with anything, and it's like, okay, you spent $30,000 on this chain, and you could have put $30,000
on a house.
You buying you an asset,
yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So like it's knowledge like that, you know what I'm saying, guys don't have, or it was presented in front of them, they just didn't want to listen. So, you know what I'm saying?
And that just goes to mentors and people really they need to see good influences, and they need to see those, like, don't buy the dumb stuff. Like, right. I mean, I know it's nice to first get that huge paycheck, but I think Andre Rison said the other day he spent $1 million, and you got to think $1 million back then. I mean, Andre Rison played in the 90s in Atlanta. Like, what if he'd have dumped all that into real estate? And right. I mean, and now he's probably like, man, I spent $1 million on jewelry. What about, you go back and be like, you had a chain, like right. You could have money coming in for the rest of your life if he'd have dumped $1 million in real estate, So yeah. It's stuff like that I want to keep going and keep pushing and seeing what the next is. But Beau, it was so cool to have you on. I loved watching you play over your career. I wish you the best of luck in your pro day and keep crushing your goals and dreams.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for having me.